It was 2:47 a.m. when my phone lit up with a message that would change everything. I'm at Claire's house. Pick me up or it's over. I stared at the screen for a long moment, heart slowing, mind racing. I didn't panic. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I typed 4 words. It's over then. Then, almost automatically, I forwarded his location to Claire's husband. By the time the sun rose, my ex was standing at my doorstep, eyes wide, red-rimmed, desperate, homeless in more ways than one. And in that instant, I realized something vital. Peace feels far sweeter than revenge. At 2:48 a.m., Ryan Fitzgerald's voice buzzed through my phone, 1 minute after I had forwarded Sean's location. My heartbeat skipped. I'd expected Sean, frantic, maybe pleading, but it was Ryan, calm and measured, calling from Dubai International Airport. "How long have you known?" he asked. "About 60 seconds longer than you," I said, eyes glued to Sean's message still glowing on my screen. "Pick me up or it's over." We both knew the truth. It had been over for months. This was just the official notice. 3 weeks earlier, I had sat next to Sean at my mother's dining table, pretending that anything between us could still be salvaged. My mother, Dorothy, had prepared her signature pot roast, the one she only made for special occasions, and she couldn't stop praising us. 4 years next month, she said, raising her wine glass. "You two restore my faith in marriage." Sean squeezed my hand under the table. His palm was damp, trembling slightly with what I now understand was guilt. Every few minutes, his phone buzzed. Every few minutes, he glanced at it, typed something quickly, and then returned to cutting meat like nothing could pull him away from this perfect little family tableau. But I noticed the tension in his shoulders, the forced laugh at my brother Tom's corny fishing stories. Hollow. Too late. The dinner haunts me now, not because of what happened, but because of the effort I made to ignore it. By morning, I had found the first evidence, a receipt tucked in his jacket pocket like a secret waiting to be discovered. Mo and Shandon, $12,743, purchased at 11:47 p.m. Tuesday. He claimed he'd been at the office dealing with the server crash that night. I stood in our bedroom, holding it, feeling a chill in my chest. Not heartbreak yet, just a quiet, hard recognition. I'd been deliberately blind. I tucked the receipt into my purse and said nothing at dinner. I watched him perform the role of devoted husband, charming my family, refilling my wine glass, sharing stories of how we'd met. Every smile, every word, a lie. Everyone saw what they wanted to see. I had been doing the same. The truth had been hiding in plain sight, in the mundane routines. Sean's coffee making now came with his body angled away from me, his phone tilted so I couldn't see the screen. Our kisses, quick, perfunctory. His showers at night, longer than necessary, scenting our apartment with something new, expensive, sharper than before. His life, carefully curated, but not for me. The company picnic should have been my first alarm. 2 months before that 2:47 a.m. message, we had gathered at Green Lake Park. Ryan introduced Claire with pride, calling her his better half. Claire barely glanced at me. Later, during volleyball, I caught Sean and Claire exchanging a look. Not a glance, a look. Secrets, promises, unspoken communication. Sean missed the ball. Everyone laughed except me. That was the day I stopped looking away. I began tracking charges, schedules, coincidences, gym memberships 3 blocks from Claire's home, work emergencies aligning perfectly with Ryan's trips. Thursday nights when Sean called, claiming late work. I prepared dinner alone, scrolling through social media, noticing every heart emoji he left on Claire's posts. Small betrayals. building into a mountain of truth. And then came Ryan's call at 2:48 a.m. "I just bought a ticket home," he said. "I've been collecting evidence for weeks." I shared my discovery. He listened, and in the quiet, I felt a strange solidarity forming between strangers, united by betrayal. The receipts, the shifted phones, the late-night showers, all leading to this moment. The pretense finally ended. A few days later, I discovered the Fremont gym membership. Sean claimed it was near the office, but it wasn't. It was near Claire's home. I left it out on the counter, casually. "I prefer working out alone," he said, his voice calm, lying so easily. The apple he bit into was crisp and loud in the quiet kitchen. He passed the statement untouched, as if ignoring it could rewrite reality. Weeks later, at my sister's Linda's wedding, the performances continued. Sean's phone buzzed repeatedly. Calls he had to take, moments he had to step out for. Perfume, shifts in posture, glances. Every detail screamed the truth, but no one spoke it aloud. At book club, I excused myself early, pretending a headache. The apartment windows glowed when I returned. Odd, since Sean had texted he'd be working late. Inside, 2 wine glasses, a candle with a scent not our own, throw pillows rearranged. He spoke quickly about a friend's birthday party, but the rhythm of his words, the unnatural ease, it all screamed of someone covering a secret. By this point, I wasn't just noticing the signs. I was preparing. I quietly documented everything. Screenshots, spreadsheets, camera angles. Slowly, the apartment transformed into my surveillance zone, my evidence room, my battlefield. And then, it happened. It was New Year's Eve. Sean kissed me on the forehead with the obligatory touch that no longer reached me. He left for a friend's party. I poured myself a glass of wine, watched the city celebrate below, and I deleted our wedding photos. Every single one. One click at a time. 5 years of memory erased. Surgical, necessary, brutal. The apartment was silent, dark, my heart steady, my hands steady. For the first time in months, I felt control. Then, at 2:47 a.m., the notification rang through the silence. "I'm at Claire's house. Pick me up or it's over." The audacity was almost impressive. But this time, I wasn't the same woman. I typed, "It's over then." And for the first time, I meant it. Subscribe for more stories like this, where betrayal meets empowerment. The moment I hit send, a strange calm settled over me, as if the storm that had been raging for months had finally found its eye. Sean's ultimatum was no longer a threat, it was proof. Proof of what I had suspected, proof of my own strength, proof that I didn't need to beg for loyalty from someone who had already checked out of our life together. I sank into the couch, the weight of months of pretending, of bending reality to accommodate his lies, finally releasing. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Ryan. I answered, his voice calm, but there was an edge of emotion I could detect even across the globe. "Christina, you did what I think you did." "Yes," I said simply. "It's over." There was silence for a moment, and then, "Good, finally." I was worried you'd let him drag this out." I smiled bitterly. I nearly did. Months of excuses, of ignoring what was right in front of me. But not anymore. It felt surreal sharing this moment with someone who had been a stranger until recently, yet who now felt like a comrade in the battle against betrayal. Ryan and I talked for a few more minutes, recounting what we each had seen, what evidence had emerged, and how carefully Sean had woven his lies. Every text he had sent, every late-night meeting, every empty promise. It all painted a picture that could no longer be ignored. I hung up, my apartment suddenly quiet. too quiet. I looked around the space I had once shared fully with Sean. Every corner held a memory, our laughter, our arguments, our ordinary, everyday life. And now, it was mine again. I could reclaim it. But first, I needed to understand exactly how deep the betrayal ran. I pulled out my laptop, my folder of evidence, and began documenting everything in excruciating detail. Receipts, social media posts, missed appointments, excuses. Each entry a brick in the wall I was building between myself and him. I wanted to see the pattern clearly, to confirm beyond any doubt that this wasn't a one-time mistake or a misunderstanding. It was a full-on affair, meticulously hidden from me for months. And as I did, I realized something essential. Anger alone wasn't enough. Anger would burn fast, but it wouldn't protect me. I needed strategy, patience, and foresight. That's when I called Victoria Lawson, the divorce attorney my coworker had recommended. Her office smelled faintly of polished wood and leather, a sharp contrast to the chaos swirling in my mind. "Christina, tell me everything," she said, her voice firm but empathetic. And I did. Every late night, every suspicious phone call, every sudden expense and unexplained trip. Victoria listened without interruption, her pen flying across a notepad as she asked pointed questions only a professional who had seen this pattern 1,000 times could know to ask. "You've been meticulous," she said finally, leaning back. "This will give us leverage, financially, legally, even psychologically. You've done what most people never manage to do, collect undeniable evidence without letting them know it." For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of empowerment. The fear, the self-doubt, the aching betrayal, they were still there, yes, but now they were paired with tools, a plan, and a path forward. Over the next few days, I transformed my life into something unrecognizable to anyone who had known me with Sean. I opened my own bank account under my name only, securing a portion of our joint savings I knew I could claim if necessary. I installed discreet cameras throughout the apartment, just enough to record interactions without being invasive. Every motion, every gesture, every unexplained absence could now be documented. Even the small things became part of my new awareness. The barista at my local cafe, who had noticed Sean's absence from his usual early morning coffee routine, began to subtly check in with me. "Everything okay?" she'd ask, her eyes sharp, assessing. "Just work stuff," I'd reply, automatically, but now with a quiet confidence. The difference was, I wasn't hiding from anyone. I was quietly observing, protecting myself. Then came the first tangible confirmation. One Wednesday evening, the cameras caught Sean packing a small bag while supposedly attending back-to-back meetings. Clothes folded neatly, the cologne he wore only for special occasions, evidence that could no longer be rationalized as coincidence or stress. It was both terrifying and exhilarating. Terrifying because I realized just how brazen his behavior had become. Exhilarating because I finally had the control I needed. For months, I had felt powerless, spinning in his orbit. Now, I was collecting the truth, piece by piece, ready for the moment I would no longer remain silent. The next test came during my sister's wedding, a black tie affair at the Fairmont, and an event that had once been a joyful celebration now felt like an audition of patience. Sean's distracted energy, his frequent absences from my side, the faint perfume that wasn't mine. Each detail added to the mosaic of betrayal I had been carefully mapping. I watched him move through the reception like a ghost, present in body, but absent in commitment. And then the moment of proof I had been anticipating. Across the room, at the dessert table, he and Claire shared a look so intimate, so deliberate, it was impossible to deny. Not a glance, a look that carried unspoken words, secret promises. I watched, my chest tight, but with the clarity I hadn't had in months. This was not a mistake. This was deliberate. I didn't confront him. Not yet. That wasn't my plan. Instead, I noted every detail, every interaction, every subtle indicator. I was building a case, a fortress of evidence that would protect me when I finally chose to act. By the time the evening ended, I felt a strange mixture of sorrow, rage, and empowerment. I had survived the wedding, witnessed the betrayal, and still retained my composure. Most importantly, I had realized that my life did not have to revolve around his deceit. That night, alone in the apartment, I reflected on the months that had led here. The quiet suspicion, the evidence gathered like breadcrumbs, the emotional isolation, the small victories of clarity. And I knew that the moment of reckoning was coming. But as I sat there, reviewing the timeline one last time before bed, I heard the subtle but unmistakable sound of a notification on my phone. A text from Sean. The 4 words that would change everything. I need to talk. Would I answer? Or would I finally take control and end this on my own terms? Subscribe for more stories like this. I need to talk. The words blinked on my phone screen, small but heavy. I stared at them, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of me wanted to ignore him, to let the silence speak louder than any words he could conjure. But another part, curiosity, closure, maybe even a flicker of hope, made me press read. He called immediately. His voice, once familiar and warm, now sounded fragile, unsteady, as if he sensed for the first time that the ground beneath him was gone. Christina, we need to meet, just to talk. I took a deep breath. Fine. But only to hear the truth, and not excuses. We met at the small park where we had first confessed our love years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. The bench was the same, the trees swaying gently, as if mocking the drama about to unfold. He started with apologies, stammering, pleading, trying to fill the air with words that had no weight anymore. I didn't let him finish. I pulled out the folder, my fortress of proof, and laid it between us. Every late-night call, every suspicious meeting, every trace of deception, neatly documented. He froze. The man who had once seemed untouchable now looked like a child, caught in a lie too big to escape. This, I said, my voice steady, is why we can't just move past this. You lied to me, to us, for months, and the moment I found out, you thought an apology would fix it. His lips trembled. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I cut him off. It's too late for intentions. Only actions matter. And your actions shattered everything we built. I watched as he slumped, finally realizing the gravity of what he had done. The weights of my collected evidence of months of betrayal was too much to escape. Then, with the clarity I had been cultivating for weeks, I said the words that changed everything. I'm done. I forgive myself for ever trusting you blindly, but I will never forgive this. I'm taking back my life, and nothing you say or do can stop me. And just like that, I stood. I loved the bench, my steps steady, my heart heady but free. Every step away felt like reclaiming a piece of my soul that had been lost to lies. The following days were a whirlwind of formalities. Lawyers, financial settlements, and slowly, the emotional de-entangling from someone I had once loved with everything. But through it all, one thing remained unshakable. I had emerged stronger, wiser, and completely in control. I even found myself smiling again, truly smiling for the first time in months. The storm had passed, leaving behind clarity, strength, and the knowledge that I would never again compromise my worth for anyone's deception. Weeks later, Ryan and I met for coffee. His presence was comforting, a reminder that even strangers can become allies in the most unexpected battles. You're different, stronger. I feel different and free. For the first time, truly free. Freedom. That was the final gift. Not revenge, not vindication, not even closure from him. Freedom. The power to live my life fully, without fear, without lies, and without compromise. And as I walked home that day, the sunlight filtering through the trees, I realized betrayal had tried to break me. But in the end, it had only made me unbreakable. From heartbreak to unstoppable strength, this is my story of betrayal, truth, and ultimate freedom. Hit like if you've ever faced betrayal, and subscribe to witness more true stories of courage and redemption. Share your story in the comments. You might inspire someone today.